intervals interior. So in this case, just like the boundary is a set, the interior of the interval is also a set, and in fact in this case the interior is just this, which itself is an interval. It's the set of all real numbers that are strictly greater than 2 and strictly less than 5. And this boundary and interior has nothing to do with whether the interval is closed or open or half open. For example, for this interval, this is a closed interval because it contains both its boundary points. This is an open interval, it contains none of its boundary points, but the boundary points are there, and for this interval, just like this interval, this same set is the boundary, and the same points are the boundary points, which are nothing but the end points, and this same set is also the interior of this set. These points are interior points. So we can see that in this interval exactly 2 points are not interior points, 2 and 5. All the other points are interior points. However, in the second interval, all the points are interior points because the boundary points of this set do not belong to the set. Okay. These are just some terminology to say things about points which we will need later. Okay. Now, these types of intervals of which we vaguely saw some examples, we can now show all the types. Types of intervals and the set notation for such intervals. I mean, we have been writing in this way, no? If we write it properly as a set, we just have to supply the curly brackets. That will tell us that this is a set of all real numbers x such that x lies between 2 and 5, including 2 and 5. So now we are going to look at the types of intervals in all the possibilities we are going to look at. Let a comma b be real numbers such that a is less than b. Then we have the following possible types of intervals. Okay, before I write anything else, let me put some more ink. Okay. Should I write a number? Okay, let us just forget numbers and write the things instead. This symbol denotes the closed interval consisting of all real numbers that are greater than or equal to a and less than or equal to b. Okay, and the symbol is this for this set. If you draw this on the real line, then it will look like this. A and b are there. A is less than b, so a will appear to the left of b, and this will be the set where the points a and b are parts of the interval. So according to our terminology of the types of intervals, this is closed. It's a finite interval, right? Let us write that first, because closedness, openness, that comes after having finiteness. This is a finite interval and it is closed. Okay. This symbol represents the set of all real numbers x such that a is less than or equal to x, but x is strictly less than b. The boundary point that is not a part of the interval, if it happens like that, is enclosed on that side of the notation. You use round bracket, and the one point and the boundary point that is there in the interval, it's a part of the set. For that you include square bracket, you enclose that with square bracket. Here we have used two square brackets because both of them are present in the set, both of them are parts of the set. So this is also a finite interval. It is not closed because both the boundary points are not there. It is half open. And here the set will look like this. It has all the points starting from A until we get to B. Geometrically it looks like this. The point B is not a part of this interval. Now you can understand what this means. In this interval we don't have A but we have B. We don't have A but we have B. This is also a finite interval and this is also half open, the other type of half open, where the left boundary point is absent. And geometrically, now, I could have written bigger circles, no? I could have drawn. Finally, an open interval which has neither of its boundary points. So this is also finite and this is open. A and B. Okay, so these are the four types of finite intervals. Now we look at rays which are not finite. We can have something like this. A comma infinity. Since we don't have one endpoint of a ray, so that endpoint, if it's on the right hand side, it's denoted by plus infinity. We don't write the plus sign, but sometimes we also write. In this book, the plus sign has not been written here. And if it is unbounded on the left hand side, then on that side we use minus infinity, for which however we need the minus sign. So by definition this symbol represents the set of all real numbers x such that x is greater than a. There's nothing to be written on this side because x is not less than anything. X increases without bounds, and this is called a ray, and it's infinite. Oh, we can write infinite, and it's a ray. If we want, you can call it a closed ray for the fact that it's closed on this side, but that I don't think is a standard thing that is consistent in all the books. As far as rays are concerned and the real line itself is concerned, we don't use open, closed, those things for them, for now at least. And it looks like this. You have the number a, and a is now a part of the, a is now a part of this set. See, I forgot. It should be greater than or equal to a. So it is the set of all real numbers that start with a and everything else on the to the right of a. Like that, we have this set, which is, here all the real numbers are greater than a. So all of them are infinite and all of them are rays, except the last one, of course. Here a is not there. So geometrically this represents this set. Then just like that, we also have minus infinity comma b. Note one more thing, that for infinity we are not using square bracket because we cannot include infinity in these sets. Infinity and minus infinity are not real numbers. Okay, so they cannot be included, and we cannot call such a set a subset of the set of real numbers. So on their side it's always excluded, just like that here also. So this is the set of all real numbers x that are less than or equal to b. This is also an infinite ray. However, its direction, this is the direction of the real line, okay, and this is, we have b here, and it's this ray. Its direction is on this side. It has all the real numbers that correspond to not only this point but all the points to the left of this point. Like that, we have this one. It's also infinite, it's also a ray. It's the set of those real numbers, and all of these are intervals, okay, that are strictly less than b. And finally, we have the real line itself, which is denoted by this symbol, which is nothing but the set of real numbers itself, and it's the whole real line, of course. So these are all the possible types of intervals, which are special types of sets in the real line, which have no gaps, you can call it, because if you take any 2 points on this set and in any one of these sets, then all the real numbers lying between those 2 points will also be there in the set. So intervals are like that, they don't have any break or any gap. If it starts from here and it is going on that side, then it will do so without any gap, without breaking. Same with all the other things. If you see carefully, there is no gap. The boundary points may or may not be inside, but once you look inside, there is no gap. It's one solid line. So that's why either the intervals are rays or line segments geometrically.